Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. President Joe Biden warned democracy's on the ballot ahead of the midterm elections next week. Eileen Alfandary has more.
President Biden warned that what he called extreme MAGA Republicans are not only questioning the outcome of the 2020 presidential election, but elections that are underway now.
There are candidates running for every level of office in America, for governor, Congress, Attorney General, Secretary of State, who won't commit. They will not commit to accepting the results of elections that they're running in. This is a path to chaos in America. It's unprecedented, it's unlawful, and it's un-American.
Biden didn't mention any of those candidates by name, but one of the most prominent is Arizona Republican gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake. She has said she would not have certified the election results for Biden as the sitting Republican Governor Doug Ducey did. Biden was explicit about pinning the blame on former President Trump.
Because the defeated former president of the United States refuses to accept the results of the 2020 election. He refuses to accept the will of the people. He refuses to accept the fact that he lost. He has abused his power and put the loyalty to himself before loyalty to the Constitution. And he's made a big lie an article of faith in the MAGA Republican Party.
I'm Eileen Alfandary for Pacifica Radio.
Former President Donald Trump's joined a chorus of right-wingers who've shared baseless conspiracy theories about the attack on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi. During an appearance on a radio show this week in Philadelphia, Trump questioned if there was more to the story. Conspiracy theorists have claimed Pelosi's attacker was his gay lover. More from reporter Alex Gonzalez.
Former President Trump appeared on the Chris Stigall radio show and spoke about the attack on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, calling the attack crazy, but not denying unsubstantiated claims surrounding the event.
It's a lot of bad stuff. I'm not a fan of Nancy Pelosi, but what's going on there is very sad. The whole thing is crazy. I mean, if there's even a little bit of truth to what's being said.
San Francisco Police Chief Bill Scott says conspiracy theories undermine the work of investigators and stress the theories are baseless.
We've spent a lot of energy just pushing back really ridiculous conspiracy theories to make sure that people stay focused on our team.
David DePape, the man accused of attacking Pelosi, made his first court appearance Tuesday, facing multiple state and federal charges. A preliminary hearing is scheduled for Friday. I'm Alex Gonzalez for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
Lawyers involved in former President Trump's efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election regarded an appeal to Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas as key to their chances of success. It's according to emails provided to congressional investigators and made public Wednesday. The emails were disclosed to congressional investigators as part of a long-running lawsuit involving John Eastman, who was an architect of Trump's last-ditch effort to stay in office, and the House January 6th committee. Thomas's wife, Virginia, was interviewed by the panel in September when she stood by the false claim that the 2020 election was fraudulent. Both sides in the deadly conflict in Ethiopia's northern Tigray province have agreed to end hostilities, which have killed an estimated 600,000 people through direct violence and famine. The warring sides announced their agreement after talks in South Africa. Ethiopia's government and Tigray authorities agreed on key points, including disarmament and access to humanitarian supplies. The war in Africa's second most populous country has raged for nearly 2 years. Millions of people have suffered displacement, mainly in Tigray province, and many are near famine. The lead negotiator for Tigray noted the devastation the province has suffered.
Our people have been killed, not only through bullets, but also for lack of food and medicine. Our children do not go to schools. Our hospitals are not functional because of the war.
The negotiator added Tigray had made painful concessions, including the forces will be disarmed, starting with light weapons within 30 days, and Ethiopia's federal security forces will take full control of federal facilities, installations, and major infrastructure. Both forces have been blamed for some of the conflict's worst abuses, including gang rapes, and witnesses have described killings and lootings by Eritrean forces even during the peace talks. The Federal Reserve raised its benchmark interest rate 0.75 of a point yesterday, the sixth interest rate hike in its efforts to tame inflation. Those rate hikes have made mortgages and other loans increasingly expensive and heightened the risk of a recession. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says even more rate increases are likely, though they could be at a lower rate and at a slower pace. Progressive economists and Democrats point to corporate profits that are reaching all-time highs in many industries for the inflationary rise in costs. The Bank of England announced its biggest rate hike in 3 decades of 0.75% today, as it also tries to beat back stubbornly high inflation. The move follows inflation reaching a 40-year high in September. Ukraine's nuclear state operator says Russia's shelled and damaged power lines connecting to Europe's largest nuclear power plant to the Ukrainian grid. That leaves the plant reliant on diesel generators again. The nuclear state operator said the generators have enough fuel to maintain the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant for 15 days. The UN's nuclear watchdog has warned the plant is at risk of a meltdown without adequate protections and power. He's urged a ceasefire around the plant's vicinity. Pakistani officials say a gunman opened fire at a protest convoy led by former Prime Minister Imran Khan today, wounding him in the leg and killing one of his supporters. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.